This results in a more thoughtful game that's less concerned with beating defenders using trickery or pace and more about, as your youth coach probably told you every week, letting the ball do the work. AI teammates now make more frequent and intelligent runs to give you greater options when you're on the ball, and players' first touches keep the ball closer to their body, finally making driven passes a viable option in the attacking third. Unfortunately, however, non-driven passes remain as limp as before. Long passes and chipped-through balls still slowly float towards their target before inevitably getting cut out, and ground passes are similarly weak, rarely possessing enough zip to carve a defense open. Many attacks end in your wingers or fullbacks crossing the ball into the area or an attacking midfielder having a pop from the edge of the box. It's a good job, then, that these are the areas that have seen most improvement. Shots carry a little more weight than before and are responsible for the game's most satisfying moments. Seeing a volley fly into the top corner is a great feeling, and it happens far more frequently in FIFA 18 than last year. Crosses, meanwhile, have been reworked, dropping the old low cross in favor of a new three-height system, holding R1, RB while crossing produces a driven, ground cross. L1 per pound creates a floaty ball similar to FIFA 17's efforts, and just the standard X square input whips the ball behind the defenders with pace. Crucially, unlike last year, it is now actually possible to score by crossing it into a target man or poacher, and doing so feels better than it has in any FIFA to date. Players' continued slow turning circles and lengthy animations can feel like there's a split second of input lag. That doesn't translate to set pieces, however, which are still useless even if penalties are slightly less complicated than FIFA 17's approach, which felt like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube with your hands tied. They're still unnecessarily obtuse, requiring you to be mindful of shot power, direction, and height, as well as your run-up, all at the same time, but at least you now have time to think about your approach, rather than the run-up being mapped to the same stick as shot direction. Elsewhere, EA has finally got the balance of individuals' pace just right. Slow players feel slow and fast players feel fast, and utilizing the latter no longer feels over or underpowered. However, despite the numerous small but important enhancements, there are a number of lingering flaws holding FIFA back. Different players still don't feel unique enough. Other than Ronaldo and a handful more of the world's elite, every footballer in the game feels roughly the same, the vast majority of them displaying the same animations and only feeling different in their heights and speed stats. This year's gimmick, quick subs, which allow you to press R2, RT during stoppages in play to substitute a player without having to pause the game, are a nice touch that is limited by the fact you can only apply it to 3 pre-planned changes organized before the match or go with the game's suggestion. That suggestion is rarely a good fit for the situation at hand, and mapping it to the same button as sprint meant I was constantly activating it by mistake. FIFA 18 is the best FIFA game ever made. It's that simple. I cannot believe the huge leap the series has seen in 1 year. This entry is streets ahead of FIFA 17, let alone any that came before that. The football on the pitch is more fluid, passing is improved, close control better, and we finally have upgrades to the game's offline modes. Throw all that in with Ultimate Team's continued brilliance, another engaging story in the journey, Hunter returns, and the Frostbite engine's beauty. I don't think we could ask for much more. EA Sports deserves huge credit for the journey it has undertaken with FIFA. Starting off at the launch of the current generation of consoles with the ill-fated Ignite engine, each year it was clear what the team was trying to implement. At times, the baby steps fixed some areas, while breaking others, like when heading became so overpowered for big men, many matches became a David Moyes cross fest. Thankfully, crosses were broken at the same time, too, meaning there was some bastardized form of perfect imbalance. Shielding the ball feels a much more viable option, as players don't act like they're turning around a countless date when spinning, they actually make sharp moves when dribbling. Sprinting is much better, as you can make intricate little touches to move between defenders, rather than knocking the ball yards ahead and stupidly losing it. Pace also now, finally, plays a factor. Mbappe will comfortably beat most centre-backs in a foot race. Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial are lethal on United's flanks. If your defence lacks speed, you better not play a high line. All of these improvements feel like somebody at EA simply flicked a switch and made everything the game used to do 100% better. So many intricate changes come together to make an incredible package. Some of the passing moves I've put together in the build-up to a goal could easily rival PS for their sheer beauty, and that's something I've never said about FIFA before. This is all helped by the fact FIFA 18 is utterly gorgeous. The Frostbite engine has truly allowed the game to shine with lighting effects offering tremendous detail under the floodlights and in bright daylight. Players also no longer suffer from the odd claymation effect, looking the best they ever have, and only get better the longer a game goes on as sweat begins to pour and much patches build on their kits and elbows. The level of detail is amazing. I expected a great game on the pitch, but what I didn't expect was for there to be significant improvements in the game's long-ignored offline modes. The Manager Career mode has received one major new feature, and it is significant enough to provide it with a huge breath of fresh air. During the transfer window you can now engage in real-time transfer negotiations with other managers. Choosing to negotiate the purchase of a player will see their manager enter your office, and you can submit bids, negotiate the fee, trade a player, all done as a back-and-forth cutscene. It's a bit like a Mass Effect conversation, though with mute characters. It's a great system that also occurs during contract renewals. It just adds further to the feel of being a management sim. We've also got a new story in the journey, Hunter returns this year, which is surprisingly gritty. Without spoiling too much, Alex Hunter is riding high off the back of his heroics last season, and talk of a big money move abroad starts to rise. However, the move doesn't go as planned, meaning Alex has to rebuild his career and almost start from scratch. The darker tone of the story is surprisingly strong. You can also now customize Alex's hairstyle, clothes, tattoos and boots, and there's also new objectives in each chapter which earn different rewards, from more social media followers to new tattoo designs. Ultimate Team has also continued its utter dominance with much more fanfare around the card collecting, making getting those upper echelon players in packs feel that much more rewarding. Now, when a top-level player is found in a pack, they come out to fireworks and even walk on screen celebrating the fact they're now part of your team. No doubt this is to play into the YouTube pack opening scene, which generates an absurd amount of views for popular personalities, but it still felt great when I got Sergio Aguero and he looked delighted to join my team. There's also a great new offline mode called Squad Battles, which is perfect for those off-put by competing online against other players for coins. Similar to Forza's Drive-It feature, players can take on other players' squads, controller by AI, to earn points over the course of a week. Points are awarded based on the quality of the opposition and the difficulty level you select, and you'll be ranked against every other player's scores in the mode at the end of the week, unlocking rewards in specific tiers. It's a great feature added to an already superb mode. However, for as much evolution as there are still some areas which are in need of an update. Custom tactics, for example, are the same as they've always been. It'd be nice if EA adopted a Konami-style presentation to these and brought in more modern strategies like Gegene press and attacking full-backs. With the rapid evolution of real football, these are starting to feel ancient. Defending, while continuing to evolve and become more refined, is becoming increasingly complex. For fans who return year on year, This is fine after the initial learning curve, but I have no idea how newcomers adapt to the approach of jockeying the ball carrier and hitting tackle at the exact correct moment to win the ball. PS is so basic by comparison, and I personally prefer FIFA's depth, but there needs to be a middle ground.